The scent of cinnamon-glazed ham and fresh pine hit me like a memory I couldn't shake, pulling me back to childhood winters in our Oregon home. I stood frozen in the doorway of the dining room, clutching a small gift wrapped in craft paper, tied with red twine, my heart pounding like it knew something I didn't. The table was a masterpiece, flickering candles, handwritten place cards in elegant script, crystal glasses catching the glow of the chandelier. But my name, Ellie Harper, 32, was nowhere to be found. No chair, no plate, no place for me. At the head of the table sat my older brother, Nate, 38, broad-shouldered and wearing that same smug grin I'd known since we were kids fighting over the last slice of pumpkin pie. He carved the ham with the confidence of a man who thought he owned the room. Beside him was our cousin Tara, 29. Her auburn hair tucked behind one ear, draped in Mom's old silk scarf, emerald green, the one she saved for Christmas Eve at St. Mary's. Tara sipped her Merlot, her ease screaming she belonged here. Maybe more than I ever had. I scanned the table again, hoping I'd missed something. A chair tucked away, a card misplaced. But no, the table was complete, a perfect circle without me. I turned to Mom, Linda, 62, fussing over a casserole of sweet potatoes topped with golden marshmallows. Her eyes dodged mine, fixed on the turkey like it had just whispered her name. Mom, I said, voice barely above a whisper. I think you forgot my seat. Nate didn't flinch, his knife slicing through the ham. Without looking up, he said, cool as ice, it's out back with the dogs. The room went still. Tara let out a soft snort, barely muffled. A distant cousin shifted in his seat. A fork clinked against a plate. No one spoke, no one laughed, no one challenged him. The words hung there, sharp and unclaimed, slicing deeper than I'd expected, not because Nate said them, but because everyone else let them linger. My cheeks burned, but I didn't run. I could have screamed, flipped the table, demanded answers. Instead, I stepped forward, set the gift in front of Nate's plate, and leaned in close enough for only him to hear. Check under your plate, I whispered, then turned and walked out. The December air hit me like a slap, cold and raw, but it reminded me I was still here, still breathing. I didn't look back. When I was a kid, Christmas was magic. Our little house in Bend, Oregon, had a crooked Douglas fir by the living room window, decked out with mismatched ornaments, a ceramic snowman I made in 3rd grade, a star Nate painted lopsided. We'd bicker over who got to hang the glass cardinal with the chipped beak until Dad, Tom Harper, 65 when he passed, would step in. This one's for peace, he'd say, holding it up, and peace doesn't play favorites. Dad smelled like sawdust and motor oil, his flannel shirts always carrying a faint grease stain. Even on holidays, his smile grounded the room, like the world made sense when he was in it. He'd ruffle my hair and say, Ellie, you've got fire in you. You'll outlast us all. I thought he was joking. Now, I wonder if he saw something I hadn't. Nate wasn't always this way. We used to build snowmen so tall they blocked the driveway, laughing until our cheeks hurt. Once, I fell sledding down Miller's Hill, scraped my knee raw, and Nate carried me home, tears streaming down his face like he was the one bleeding. You're not allowed to get hurt. Ever, he said, wrapping me in a quilt. That Nate, the one who saved me the last peppermint bark, who let me ride shotgun to the hardware store, vanished somewhere along the way. I don't know when. Mom, too, was different once. She'd hum Silver Bells off-key while rolling out pie dough, her apron dusted with flour. Sometimes, she'd spin in her fuzzy slippers, giggling when she thought no one saw. I saw. She'd set out my favorite mug, white, with faded holly berries, for hot cocoa piled high with marshmallows. This year, that mug was gone. I didn't expect it, but its absence stung. What happened to that house? To those people? Was I the only one holding on to the warmth of those memories? Somewhere along the line, the laughter turned bitter, the love cooled, and Nate started acting like he spoke for the family. My voice faded, my name disappeared from conversations, from photos, from place cards. I kept showing up, hoping it was just grief, just stress, just a phase, but hope can blind you if you let it. And mine did. It wasn't one big moment. No shouting match. No slammed doors. No one saying, "You're not one of us." They just stopped including me. It started small. I'd call to check on Dad. Back when his memory started slipping, mixing up names. Calling me, "that nice lady," on the phone. Nate would answer, cheerful as ever. "Dad's napping. I'll tell him you called." Days later, "He's out of it today. Ellie, bad timing. Soon." I stopped hearing Dad's voice. Only Nate's updates, always laced with fake concern. Mom started leaning on him, too. When I asked how she was, she'd say, "Nate's been a rock. He handles things so well. It's just easier this way." Easier for who? I told myself they were tired. I was in Portland, 32. Working long hours at a digital marketing agency. Sending money home for Dad's meds. Covering half the cost of a new furnace. Flying back for every holiday. But the signs piled up. One Christmas, my stocking, red, with my name stitched in white, was missing from the mantle. I found it later, crumpled in a closet. The photo of me and Dad, taken when he gave me his old socket wrench set, was gone from the hallway. In its place, Nate and Tara at a nursery, holding a tray of chrysanthemums like they'd saved the family legacy. Then I saw it on Instagram, a last-minute family dinner. Everyone around the table we used to set together, laughing, glasses clinking. No one called me. When I asked Mom, she said, "It was spur of the moment. Ellie, you're so far away. We didn't want to bother you." Her words landed like a punch she didn't hear. From then on, it was clear. Decisions about Dad's care, the house, the budget, they happened without me. Nate explained after the fact. "Always like he was doing me a favor. Didn't want to stress you out. We've got it covered." My voice became a whisper. I could barely hear myself. Tara was the final piece. I realized she'd moved in when she answered Mom's phone. The clink of a spoon against Mom's cardinal mug in the background. "Hold on. Linda's kneading dough." She laughed. Casual, like she owned the kitchen. "Linda?" The word sank into me like a stone. When I asked Mom later, careful not to sound accusing, she said, "Tara's a blessing. Ellie, you know how hard it's been." Tara, who once borrowed Mom's pearl necklace and swore it was hers. Tara, who cried at Thanksgiving, claiming everyone painted her as the villain. Now she was setting the table I used to set. Wearing Mom's scarf, leaving notes on the fridge, lasagnas in the oven. Took Linda to PT. At first, I rationalized it. They needed help, and I was 150 miles away. But Tara didn't stay a helper. She became the one who knew where the spare keys were. Who answered when I called about Dad's doctor visits. Who texted thanks for Mom's birthday flowers with a photo of them together. No Ellie in sight. I asked Nate about it. "She's just pitching in," he said, vague as fog. "No one's replacing you." But at Dad's memorial, Tara greeted guests at the door, wearing my black dress from Aunt Clara's funeral, the hem just above her knees. She poured cider, told stories about Dad like she'd known him better than me. People smiled, nodded, believed her. I stood there, coat still on, hands numb, watching my place erode. 2 months before Christmas, I drove to Bend unannounced. I didn't plan to go in, just wanted to sit in the driveway, stare at the old porch swing, and remember who I was when this was home. The driveway was empty, no Nate's pickup, no Tara at the window. I used my key. The house was too quiet, no music, no TV, just the heater's hum and the creak of floorboards. Everything felt staged, like a set dressed to look like my childhood but missing its soul. Dad's study was untouched. His recliner sagged. His toolbox rusted under the shelf. The clock with its dusty face ticking 10 minutes slow. Then I saw it. A wooden cabinet. Brass handle gleaming faintly. I'd watched Dad open it 100 times but never cared what was inside. I pulled. It stuck, then gave way. A small safe. A memory sparked. Dad. Years ago, tucking a key inside his favorite book. Lonesome Dove. For emergencies. I found it, spine worn, and the key was there. The safe clicked open. Inside, an envelope. My name in Dad's shaky hand. A notarized will, dated 2 weeks before he died. The house. The savings. The cabin and sisters, all mine. No mention of Nate or Tara. Behind it, a note. Edges yellowed. Ellie, I see it now. I didn't before. And I'm sorry. You never asked for anything. You stayed. You looked out for me when no one else did. This is yours. You earned it. Love. Dad. I didn't cry at his funeral. I cried there. On the floor. Not for the house. But because someone saw me. Christmas Eve. I wore dark jeans and a navy coat. Nothing flashy. The gift. A small box. Plain paper. Red twine. Felt heavy in my hands. The Harper house glowed with the same flickering string lights. The wreath slightly off-center. The old welcome mat, "Home is where Dad is," was gone, replaced with "Winter blessings." I knocked once, then let myself in. The dining room hummed with voices. Nate at the head, Tara beside him, her hand on his arm. Mom across, smiling that distant smile she used to save for strangers. No seat for me. I stepped forward, set the box in front of Nate, and met his eyes. "Check under your plate," I said, steady. He lifted it, found the safe key, his face flickering, confusion. Then a shadow of unease. Mom stood, smile faltering. "Ellie, what's..." "I'm not staying." I cut in, "Just dropping that off." Tara reached for the box. "A gift?" I looked through her. "In a way." She flushed, hand pulling back. I turned, walked out, the cold biting my throat. Behind me, chairs scraped, voices rose. I didn't stop. In the car, I sat, letting the silence settle. The box held the will. The letter. A photo of me and Dad rebuilding the deck. Shoulder to shoulder. Summer 2015. No drama. Just truth. Let them read it. Let them sit at that full table. One chair always empty. They called the next morning. Mom's voicemail. "Ellie, we saw what you left. It was unexpected. Let's talk. Sweetheart. We're still family. No apology." Nate texted. "Can we meet?" "Just a misunderstanding." Tara sent a sad face emoji. Nothing more. I let the messages stack up. They tried guilt. "Dad wouldn't want this." "Ellie, don't let this ruin Christmas." But I wasn't angry. I didn't want revenge. I just didn't want to go back. I didn't block them. Didn't argue. I just stopped answering. That shook them more than anything. Nate showed up at my office once. Unannounced. My assistant turned him away, saying later. He didn't look like good news. She was right. Mom called again. Voice thin. "Ellie, we messed up. But this is still your family." I paused. Then said, "I was always here. You just lived better without me." She didn't reply, because there was nothing left to say. 3 weeks later, I mailed one last thing. The original photo of me and Dad. No note. A neighbor texted me a picture later. Unprompted. The photo was hung in Dad's shed. Above his workbench. Slightly crooked. Just a girl and her father. Smiling like the world was right. I stared at it, then closed my phone. The house is mine on paper. But the real inheritance isn't wood or land. It's knowing I don't need their apologies. The truth exists. And it doesn't fade when ignored. I'm still in Portland, drinking from that chipped holly mug I took after the memorial. It cracks more each winter. I let it. People ask if I made up with my family. I say I was always part of the story. They just wrote around me. Now, they don't get to erase me. I didn't need to be seen. I just needed to exist. The wind howled outside the Harper house in Bend, Oregon, on Christmas Eve, carrying the sharp bite of a Cascades winter. I, Ellie Harper, 32, stood on the porch, my breath clouding in the icy air, clutching a small box wrapped in brown craft paper, tied with red twine that frayed slightly at the ends. The house glowed with the same string of multicolored lights I'd helped Dad hang as a kid, blinking unevenly like they were winking at a secret. The wreath on the door tilted just off-center. And the old welcome mat, "Home is where Dad is," had been replaced with a generic, "Winter blessings." My stomach churned, but I straightened my navy coat, knocked once, and let myself in. The dining room buzzed with warmth, cinnamon-glazed ham, roasted pine nuts, and the faint sweetness of Mom's cranberry relish filled the air. The table was a vision, candles flickering in silver holders. Place cards scrawled in Mom's careful cursive. Crystal glasses glinting under the chandelier. But no card bore my name. No chair waited for me. My brother Nate, 38, sat at the head, his broad shoulders filling the space like he was born to command it. His grin, sharp and smug, cut deeper than the carving knife slicing through the ham. Beside him, our cousin Tara, 29, sipped Merlot, her auburn hair catching the light. Mom's emerald silk scarf draped over her shoulders like a claim. Mom, Linda, 62, fussed over a dish of sweet potatoes, her eyes avoiding mine as if I were a ghost. I stepped forward, the floorboards creaking under my boots. And every head turned. Ellie? Nate's voice carried a hint of surprise. But his smirk didn't waver. I didn't answer. I set the box, small, unassuming, heavier than it looked, right in front of his plate. The twine brushing the edge of his wineglass. Leaning in, close enough to smell his cedar cologne. I whispered, "Check under your plate." His eyes narrowed, but he lifted the charger, revealing a small brass key, worn smooth by years of use. Dad's safe key. Confusion flickered across his face. Then something sharper, unease. Maybe, though he didn't know why yet. Mom half stood, her smile crumbling. "Ellie, what's this about?" Her voice trembled, like she sensed a storm. Tara reached for the box. Her nails painted a festive red. "A gift?" she asked. Too eager. I met her gaze, steady, unyielding. "In a way," I said, my voice low but clear. Her hand froze, then retreated, her cheeks flushing. The room held its breath. I could have stayed, could have demanded answers, but I turned, my coat swishing against the doorframe, and walked out. The cold slapped my face. The stars above sharp as needles. Behind me, chairs scraped, voices rose, Nate's sharp. Mom's unsteady, but I didn't stop. I slid into my car, the leather seat icy under my jeans, and let the silence wrap around me like a shield. Inside that box was no weapon, no taunt, just truth. A copy of Dad's will, notarized 2 weeks before he died. Leaving the house, the savings, the cabin and sisters to me. No mention of Nate or Tara. Tucked beside it, a letter in Dad's shaky hand. "Ellie, I see it now. I didn't before, and I'm sorry. You stayed. You protected me. This is yours. Love, Dad." And a photo, me and him, shoulder to shoulder, rebuilding the deck in the summer of 2015. Sweat on our brows, grins wide as the Oregon sky. I didn't need to stay and watch them open it. The truth would speak for itself. The calls started at dawn. Mom's voicemail came first, her voice soft, hesitant, like she was reading a script. "Ellie, sweetheart, we saw what you left. It caught us off guard. Can we talk? We're still family." No apology, just a plea wrapped in discomfort. Nate's text followed, clipped and careful. "Ellie, let's meet. Big misunderstanding. We need to sort this out." Not a word about the will, the letter, or the key. Tara sent a single sad face emoji. As if that said anything at all. I stared at my phone. The notifications piling up like snowdrifts. Each one a half-hearted reach across a chasm they'd dug. They tried different angles over the next week. Mom left another message, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "Your dad wouldn't want this. Ellie, let's not let Christmas be ruined." Nate called, his tone softer but still dodging. "We didn't mean to push you out. Let's fix this." Tara posted a vague Instagram story, a candlelit table, captioned, "Family is forever," and I knew it was meant for me to see. But their words felt hollow, like ornaments with no tree to hang on. No one said, "We were wrong." No one said, "We hurt you." They wanted reconciliation without accountability. A family portrait with my face still blurred. I didn't respond, not out of anger. I wasn't angry anymore. Not out of spite. I didn't need to prove a point. I just didn't want to go back to a table where my chair was never set. I didn't block their numbers or argue. I let the silence do the talking. And it unnerved them more than any words could. Nate showed up at my Portland office unannounced one afternoon. His pickup parked crooked in the lot. My assistant, Jen, turned him away before I even knew he was there. He didn't look like someone you'd want to see. she said later, tossing her braid. She was right. Mom called again a week later. Her voice fragile as frost. Ellie, we made mistakes. But this family's still yours. I let the words hang. Then said, I was always here, Mom. You just live easier when I wasn't. She didn't reply, not because she disagreed, but because the truth sat between us. Undeniable and heavy. 3 weeks after Christmas, I mailed one last thing. No return address. No note. Just the original photo of me and Dad. The one from the deck rebuild. The one they'd taken down from the hallway years ago. I'd found it in a drawer at Dad's memorial. Tucked away like a secret they didn't want to keep. I sent it back, letting it speak for me. A week later, a neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, texted me a picture. No explanation. Just a note. Thought you'd want to see this. The photo was hung again, not in the house. Not above the fireplace or by the dining table, but in Dad's shed behind the garden. The one place no one else went. There it was, tacked above his workbench, slightly crooked. Me and Dad smiling under a July sun. Like the world still made sense. I stared at that image, my thumb hovering over the screen. Then closed my phone. The shed was Dad's sanctuary, where he'd tinker with his tools. The air thick with sawdust and motor oil. That photo, hung there, felt like a quiet nod, not from Nate. Not from Tara. Not even from Mom, but from the part of this family that still remembered me. The house is mine on paper. The will ironclad. The cabin and sisters waiting under wide open skies. But that's not the inheritance that matters. It's the knowing I don't need their apologies, their guilt, or their half-hearted invites to a table that never had room for me. The truth exists, and it doesn't bend when ignored. Dad saw me, even when I couldn't see myself. He left me more than a house, he left me the strength to walk away. I'm still in Portland, 32. Sipping coffee from that chipped holly mug I took from the house after Dad's memorial. It's white. The berries faded to pink. Cracking more each winter. I don't fix it. It's mine. Flaws and all. Friends ask if I ever patched things up with my family. I tell them I was always part of the story. They just tried to edit me out. Now, they don't get to. I didn't need their validation to exist. I just needed to be.